Hello everyone. Welcome to series of sessions on professional marks in AAA exam. So today we will be moving towards question number 3 of the first specimen paper. As you all know that we have already discussed that what the professional marks are and what are the expectations of the examiner in professional skills. Then we had a discussion on question number 1, question 2 of the specimen exam, and today we are moving towards the last question, question 3 of the specimen paper. Let's read it and we'll draft the answer so that you people can have an idea that how you have to deal with these marks. Now, it is 1st July 2005. You are a manager in Moritz and Company, a firm of chartered certified accountants, which offer a range of audit and non-audit services. Your firm has been asked to consider potential engagement to review and provide an assurance report on the prospective financial information for Levenza Company, which is not an audit client of your firm. Moritz and Company has already conducted specific client identification process in line with the money laundering regulation with satisfactory result. So this was just an introduction about the firm, about the client, and what the engagement is about, that it's a prospective financial information engagement, and we are doing an assurance engagement, and the client is not our existing audit client. The following exhibits available on the left-hand side of the screen provide information, cash flow forecast, and supplementary information. You have also been asked to provide an accountant's report for an audit client, Beeford Company, which intends to list on the stock market in September 2005. The following exhibit available on the left-hand side of the screen provides the relevant information, accounting report for Beeford Company. The information should be used to answer the requirement within your chosen response option. So if you read this entire introduction, it just gives us the introduction that what the question is about, what the firm is doing, and what engagements we have to perform. Now we'll read each of the exhibit, then we'll go through the requirements, and we'll start developing the answer. Okay, let's look at it. The requirement A, which is of 13 marks, what he's asking in it, explain the matters to be considered by Moritz Company before accepting the engagement to review and report on Levenza Company prospective financial information. I hope you all remember that we have studied in the class that there is a list of matters which we consider before accepting the engagement for PFI. We look at the scope of the engagement. We look at the types of assumption used, the length of the forecast period. We look at the ethical issues. Okay. I hope you all remember that in PFI, there is a list of matters which we consider before accepting the engagement. Okay. So this is a question of 6 marks. And then, assuming Moritz Company accept the engagement, recommend the examination procedures to be performed in respect of the Levenza Company cash flow forecast for 7 marks. The PFI procedures is also a simple thing. In PFI, we calculate the entire forecast. Okay, we look at the accounting policies used. We look at the competency of the person who prepared the forecast. Okay, and then we perform some specific procedures also. Again, I hope you all remember that this is not a technical topic. Okay, prospective financial information, factors to consider before accepting engagement, and the examination procedures. Okay, let's read the exhibits. Question number 1, cash flow forecast, first exhibit. Now, Levenza Company has approached your firm in order to obtain an independent assurance opinion on cash flow forecast, which is being prepared for its bankers in support of an application for increase in existing overdraft facility. The following cash flow forecast has been prepared by the finance director of Levenza Company for the 12 months to 30th June 2006. So this forecast is for 12 months, and the objective is to apply for increase in existing overdraft facility. Now, if we look at the 12-month forecast, this forecast is prepared in form of quarters. Three months quarter is given. Okay, operating cash receipts, cash sales, high street shops, cash sales online, receipts from credit sales. Okay, so forecast is prepared. Purchase of inventory, salaries, overheads. Okay, in other cash flows, there is initial cost of new high street shops, online marketing campaign, opening cash, and a forecast is prepared. We have to perform procedures on it. So what procedures we can perform? We can verify the opening cash from the bank statement and from the cash book. We can verify the salary forecast from the HR records. We can obtain the breakups of the overhead. For cash sales, high street shops, we can look at the trend of the previous periods. Again, for the online sales, we can look at the trend. For receipts from credit sale, we can look at the trend for debt collection period. Okay, so the procedures on the forecast data is never a big issue. It's a routine question. We'll look at it in detail when we'll be drafting the answer. Then there is some supplementary information given. The following information is also relevant. Levanza Company is a retailer of academic textbooks, which it sells through its own network of bookshops and online through its website. The revenue from the website includes both cash sales and sales on credit to educational institutions. The company has provided historical analysis from its trade receivable ledger, indicating that for sales made on credit, 10% pay in the month of sale, 62% after 30 days, 16% after 60 days, 8% after 90 days, and remainder are irrecoverable debt. So we will look at the receivable ledger trend to verify these claims of the management. The company already has established presence in large cities with universities, but has seen a decline in its core operations in recent years, which has led to decrease in revenue and fall in liquidity. In order to reverse these trends, the company is planning to extend its operations by opening new shops in small cities with universities and large colleges. So we will verify this assumption of the management through market data. We will review the market data that what is the reason of the decline in sales. Is the company facing any reputational issue or it's a normal market crisis? And whether the management assumption that going to small cities will increase the sales is valid or not. Levanza Company management is planning an online marketing campaign together at the university sector, which they believe will increase the company's market share by approximately 3%. So we will review the assumptions of the management that how they assume that this marketing campaign can increase their sales. Okay, and we will also look at the marketing proposals to verify the cost they have included. The company has an existing overdraft facility for 12 million with its bankers and has requested an increase in facility to $17 million. Now, again, we look at it that whether this assumption is reasonable or not, what is the communication being done, okay? Now, then the other part is for accountants report for Beaufort Company. So that's completely different part. So if we look at requirement A, first, we have to talk on the matters to be considered by Moritz Company before accepting the engagement to review and report on Levanza Company PFI. It's 6 marks, and then we have to write examination procedures. Okay. Now, in requirement B, he has given the professional marks. Okay. 7 marks for the requirement B, and then he has written professional marks will be awarded for demonstration of skills in analysis and evaluation, professional skepticism and judgment, and commercial acumen in your answer. Now, apparently, it's not clear here that whether these 5 marks belong to requirement B or they will be assessed on the whole answer. Okay, but we will try and achieve these professional skills throughout our answer. Okay, because you all know that professional skills will not change our answer. It is only about writing the answer in a proper format, using proper wordings. Okay, it is not about some technical knowledge which needs to be included. It is not about writing two more procedures. It is about making sure that if we are writing a procedure, it's written in a professional manner. Okay, it's complete, it's detailed, it evaluates the complete scenario, it is relevant. Okay, so let's start writing the answer and we'll try and target the professional skills in all of the requirements. So first of all, we are moving towards the first requirement, which is explain the matters to be considered by Moritz company before accepting the engagement to review and report on Levenza company prospective financial information. Let's look at it. Okay. Question number 3. Moritz company. This is the requirement. Okay. Now just think about it. Let's make a list. That before accepting the engagement of PFI, what are the matters you will consider? First, let's list them down and then we'll start developing it. Okay. We think about the purpose of PFI, that whether this PFI will be used for general circulation or whether it is for the use of the bank only. What is the purpose of the PFI? Whether it will be presented to other banks also. Because this purpose of PFI will affect our risk. You all know that we have studied already. You have studied the technical marks of prospective financial information during the course. So first of all, think about the purpose of the PFI, that why this PFI is being prepared. Then you will think about the forecast period and assumptions used. Okay, here the forecast period is 12 months. What type of assumptions are used? If the assumptions are hypothetical, it will increase the risk. If the assumptions are best estimate, it will not increase too much risk. The assumptions hypothetical or best estimate, what is the forecast period, what is the purpose of the PFI. Okay, you will look at the expertise of our firm. Okay, because this is not our audit client, so whether we have the expertise to deal with the Levenza company forecast data or not, because obviously you all know that forecast data requires additional skills. Okay, so you think about that, what's the purpose of this PFI data, where they will use it, what is the forecast period, what type of assumptions they are using, whether our firm has the expertise or not. Okay, then you will think about the ethical issues. Why you will think about ethical issues? You will think about ethical issues that since it is not our audit client, so there is no issue of familiarity or self-review. But still you need to think that why they are not engaging their own auditor. When they have their own auditor, why they are not using their own auditor? Just think about it. Normally, the firms use their existing auditors for these review engagements. Despite it creates ethical issues, but still they use their existing auditors because their existing auditors have the knowledge of the business. Why they are not using their existing auditors? Okay. So what are the matters you will be considering before accepting the engagement? Then there are matters relating to deadline. There are matters relating to fees. Okay. So the matters to be considered by Moritz company before accepting the engagement to review and report on Levenza company prospective financial information. Okay. So if you remember, you study PFI when you cover your entire course. Okay. Like if I show you my handout of PFI, those students who are studying from me, they have an idea about the document. Like if I show you the document, Just a second. If we let's just look at the document, the purpose of showing is to give you the confidence that yes, it's not a difficult one. Like if I open this document of prospective financial information, which we study during the course, see, we used to study these factors to consider before accepting the engagement to report on PFI. Okay, that what is the use of the forecast, what is the purpose of this forecast. Okay, then what are the contents of the forecast, which just like in the question he has apparently said that it will only cover the cash flow. So we need to consider that whether it will only cover cash flow or whether other contents will also be included. What's the tenure of the forecast? That in this situation, this tenure is 12 months. It's apparently reasonable. But if the tenure is like 5 years or 10 years, then it's risky. Then what are the types of assumptions which are used? What is the source of the data? Okay, whether the prior year financial statements are audited or not. What are the ethical issues involved in it? So what I'm trying to say is that if you remember my classes and these handouts, you can easily cover it. Then the procedures on the PFI data. Okay, the procedures on the PFI data. Then I used to give you a list of the procedures which is used always, like recalculate the PFI, review the accounting policies, review the underlying assumptions. Okay, so if you have studied the topic well, then developing the answer in the exam is not a big deal. I'm not saying that you use rote learning, that you use this rote data, but still having the headings in point, having the headings in mind that, okay, these were the headings, having main pointers in your mind will help you to draft the answer. Like many students start to think that how the tutor got this point of purpose of PFI in his mind. Because this is the general approach of these type of questions. Okay. And obviously this depends on the technical data which you have studied during the course. Okay. So it is not like doing the past papers directly. It is very important that you should have studied the technical concepts good. So you'll think about the purpose of the PFI. You'll think about the forecast period and assumptions. You'll think about the expertise of our firm. You can talk about the ethical issues. Then you can think about the contents of the forecast period. That what are the contents? You can think about the ethical issues. That why they are not using their own auditor. Okay. So let's start developing it. Moritz company should evaluate that, or I would say should consider that what is the purpose, should consider the purpose of forecast data. Okay, whether it will be used for bank overdraft extension only, or it will be used for other purposes also. It also needs to be considered that whether Levanza company will use it for general circulation also or not. Because just think from the client's perspective. Just give a second and think about the client perspective. What the client thinks. Clients say that, okay, I've paid the amount. I've got the assurance. Now I have the forecast and I have assurance on it. So why not use this forecast for other purposes also? For example, the client prepared the forecast for 12 months. He took assurance from us. Now he has one authentic document. He went to the bank for extension of overdraft. Okay. Then he thought, let's take car loan also. Let's take a property loan also. Let's publish this forecast in the financial statement also. Because what the client is thinking that since I have spent the money, I have got the assurance. Now, why not use this report for the entire world? But think from the auditor perspective. Think from the assurance provider perspective. Wherever this report is being presented and wherever this report is being used, this increases the exposure of the firm. Okay, so the firm has to consider the purpose of the PFI. Okay. If the forecast data will be used for other purposes also, then this will increase risk of Moritz company. Okay, it will increase their exposure. Assurance report will be restricted to the users agreed in engagement letter. Okay, in the assurance report, we will write that this report is only for this XYZ bank. This report is only for extension of overdraft. So if anyone else will use this report, we will not be liable towards that. So the purpose of the PFI needs to be clear. I'll repeat it again. See what you need to consider before accepting the engagement. You need to talk with the client. You need to talk with Levenza company. That please make it clear that this forecast data, this assurance will only be used for the bank and for extension of overdraft. They said, okay, this will be the only purpose. So we'll prepare the report and we'll write this purpose in the forecast assurance. The forecast is prepared by the management, but we are giving the assurance. So we have the exposure, we have the risk in it. Okay, so we'll write the purpose, we'll specify the purpose. Now, if the client will use it for general circulation or for other purposes also, then this will increase our exposure. So the purpose need to be very clear at the start of the engagement. Then, forecast period and the assumptions used. Forecast period is currently 12 months in forecast period is currently 12 months in prospective financial information of Levenza company. This is a reasonable period. This is a reasonable period to give assurance. Okay. If forecast period is greater, or I would say if it's like 2 years or 3 years and we cannot predict it very clearly, then giving assurance on it will increase our risk. If forecast period is greater, then it increases risk of auditor or assurance provider, as it is difficult to forecast long periods of time. Okay. Further, types of assumptions used by the management also needs to be considered. If hypothetical assumptions, what are hypothetical assumptions which don't have any basis? If hypothetical assumptions are used, then it will increase risk of Moritz company. Okay. Levenza company assumes that they will get overdraft facility increased from $12 million to $17 million. Basis of these assumptions need to be discussed with management. Okay. Now, what you need to consider is that what type of assumptions they are using. Like we asked that what's the basis of this assumption? They said that this is the assumption. Okay, we asked that what's the basis? They said there is no basis and this is our assumption on which we are creating the entire building. We are creating the entire scenario. So we said that your entire scenario will fail if there are no basis for your initial assumption. Okay. Now see, what you need to understand is that I develop the answer with you people. Okay. As I told in the previous sessions also, it is very easy for me to just open the examiner answer or my pre-written answer and read it with you people. But that will never give you the skill of drafting. Okay. So we develop the answer while discussion, so that you people can also think and you can do the thought process that, okay, how the teacher is writing the answer and now how we have to do it. Okay. So in the same way, I expect from you people is that you people have to give time at home and you have to develop some answers and send me for marking. Because until and unless you will develop some answers, you will not be able to get these expertise. Okay. So write down some answers. Send me for the marking. I'll give you feedback and this will help you improve a lot. Okay. Now, the third one is expertise of our firm. Moritz company need to consider that whether they have expertise to deal with Levanza company forecast, that whether they have expertise to deal with Levanza company forecast. Okay. Levanza company is not our audit client, is not our audit client, and Moritz company may lack expertise, about its business. I would say may lack knowledge about its business and environment. Okay. Providing assurance on forecast data will require detailed knowledge of business and environment of Levanza company. Okay. Now, since you are dealing with the forecast, it is something about future. So it is very important that you need to have the expertise. You need to have the knowledge about its business and environment. So Moritz company need to consider that whether they have expertise to deal with Levanza company forecast. Levanza company is not our existing audit client. This means that we haven't done any engagement about it in past. It's written in the question. It's not our existing audit client, and therefore Moritz company may lack knowledge about its business and environment. Providing assurance on forecast data will require detailed knowledge of business and environment of Levanza company, because in forecast data, we use assumptions. Now you have to think about the ethical issues. Now, what is the ethical issue? It's not our audit client. So you can say that there is no self-interest, self-review, or familiarity threat. But then you need to think, then you need to evaluate that why Levanza company is not using its existing auditor. Is there any issue? Because normally the clients get these type of work done from their existing auditor. Okay. Levanza company is not an audit client of Moritz company. Okay. This means that ethical threats of self-interest and self-review do not exist. However, it needs to be considered that why Levanza company is not using its existing auditor for review on forecast data. Normally, clients use their existing auditors for, I would say, other assurance engagements. Okay. Now, there can be two reasons. Maybe Levanza company is very, I would say, serious about ethical matters. And they use, maybe they think that using their existing auditor will create an ethical threat and they shouldn't be doing it. Or maybe Levanza company is using a new assurance provider because they think that new assurance provider will not have much information about the business and he will give assurance easily. And he will not be able to identify the issues which existing auditor knows. Just think about it. See, if they use the existing auditor, there will be ethical threat, but that can be resolved through safeguards. Just think about it. If they use their existing auditor, there will be ethical threat, but that can be resolved through safeguards. But why they are using a separate service provider? Because you all know that a new firm will take more time. They take more time in gaining the information, understanding about the client. But there is a possibility that they are going for a new firm because they think that new firm will not be able to identify those issues which their existing auditor know. Okay. Normally, clients use their existing auditors for other assurance engagement. It needs to be considered that maybe Levanza company is using new assurance provider because they want to hide or they want some information to go undetected, because they want some information to go undetected which their existing auditor or service provider knows. Okay. Now, this is the skill to use the commercial acumen, to use the professional skepticism, that even when everything is good, at that time, we also think that there is some possibility, there is some negative issue which can exist. Okay. Normally, what the students think is that, okay, we are not the existing service provider, then it's good. There is no ethical issue in it. But what the examiner says is that you should have the professional skepticism. You should think about it, that if they are not using their existing assurance provider, then maybe they want to hide something. Okay. And here we always say that we have to take the clearance from the existing service provider. We have to ask him that whether there is any such issue or not. Okay. Maybe the existing auditor knows something, and that is the reason why they are not using their existing auditor. Okay. Now, this is the professional skill of skepticism. And see, we targeted commercial acumen also when we said that normally what the clients do, normally they use their existing service provider. This is what happens commercially. And then we used our skepticism. Okay. Then you can write that what are the contents of the forecast. Now you all know that each point worth 1 mark to 1.5 marks. Okay. Each of the factor which you are writing worth 1 to 1.5 marks. Okay. Depending on the depth you are writing. So if you have time in the exam, you should write each point as 1 mark. But if you don't have time, then you can write it for 1.5 marks, and then you have to write the points in bit detail. Okay. Currently, the forecast period only includes cash flow forecast of 12 months. Moritz company need to discuss with Levanza company that whether there are any other components or contents in forecast data or not. Okay, like income statement or forecast SOFP. Moritz company need to discuss with Levanza company that whether there are any other contents in forecast data or not, like forecast income statement or forecast statement of financial position. Okay, this will affect level of work in the engagement. Like, for example, during the engagement, they come up with the income statement or they come up with the statement of financial position. So we need to think that whether there are other contents or not. So if you look at this answer, see, what I believe is that if you have studied the technical concept of PFI well, then developing the answer was not a big deal. Now, if I talk about the professional skills specifically, because we are just doing this paper again only because of professional skills. So if I talk about the professional skills specifically, see, while writing the answer, what you just need to think is that you have the skill of evaluation. You cover the complete scenario. What you need to think is that you have the skill of skepticism, of questioning the things. Even when the things are going good, you should have skill of questioning it. You should have the skill of making a judgment. You should have a skill of commercial acumen to think that how the things go on normally. Okay, so first we thought about the purpose of the forecast data, that whether it will be used for the bank or whether it will be used for general circulation also, because it will affect our risk, it will affect our work. And again, you have studied the report of the forecast. If you remember the PFI report, because in the PFI report, what we do is we specifically write in the PFI report that what is the use of this forecast so that we can restrict our liability. Okay, so this use needs to be agreed at the very start. Then what is the forecast period and the assumptions which will be used? What are the expertise of our firm? What are the ethical issues which are involved in it? And whether the forecast only includes the cash flow forecast or it will include other data also. Okay? Okay. So now the first part is done, which was of 6 marks. You can see in requirement A, he asked for 6 marks. Explain the matters to be considered by Moritz Company before accepting the engagement to review and report on the PFI data. So we discussed that what is the purpose of the PFI, whether it's for bank use or for general circulation, the forecast period and assumption, expertise. Okay, so I hope that it's clear. Now let's move towards the second requirement. Okay, let's see what he's asking. Now he's asking, assuming that Moritz Company accepts the engagement, recommend the examination procedures to be performed in respect of the Levenza Company forecasted cash flow. Now this is one of the easy requirements, because when you have to perform the procedures on the forecast information, you can use some general procedures also while developing the answer. But you have to make sure that there should be you shouldn't be using too much general procedures, because otherwise you will face deduction of marks in professional skills. Okay, so what type of procedures you can use? The first general procedure which you can use is cast overall forecast data to verify its accuracy. Okay, now casting, totaling of the entire forecast data to verify its accuracy. This is one of the general procedure which examiner uses always. Okay, then what you can do is compare the accounting policies used in forecast data with most recent financial statements to verify that accounting policies used in forecast are consistent with the financial statements. Okay, so you can check the accounting policies. Now again, you must be thinking that how Sir Owais gets these points in mind. Okay, so you already study this when you study a topic. Like if I show you this, my handout of forecast data, now from wherever you are studying, you must have studied this topic. Like following procedures are always performed. Like you always recalculate it, you always review the accounting policies. Okay, review that who prepared the PFI, whether the one who was preparing the forecast data was competent or not. Okay, review the underlying assumptions of the forecast and whether they are consistent with the auditor's understanding. Review whether proper systems and controls were followed while preparation of forecast. Okay, so these 4 procedures, or I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These 5 procedures are general procedures and they are used always. Okay, now like in this question, how many procedures you had to write? You had to develop 7 procedures. So you can use 3, 4 from the general and you can pick up rest from the scenario. Like you use cast overall forecast to verify its accuracy. Compare the accounting policies which are used in the forecast data. Okay, review underlying assumptions. Review underlying assumptions of management in preparation of forecast with Moritz Company with Moritz companies, general understanding about business of Levenza company. Now, what are the key assumptions? If you can refer those assumptions, like if you go in the supplementary information, he used the assumptions about the trend in the sales, and you can also pick them up from the cash flow forecast, that he thinks that the cash sales from high street shops will increase from 4343 to 4690, then to 5065, then to 5471. Okay, like you can calculate the trend from here, the growth assumptions which you are using. Okay, the growth assumptions which he is using, you can calculate the trend. Now, for this, you can use the spreadsheet data in which you can calculate the trend. Okay, you can use the spreadsheet data, or you can even use your calculator to do this work. Okay, like operating cash receipts, cash sales, um, just a second, cash sales, high street shops, and cash sales online. High street shops, cash sales online. Okay, and what you can do is that 3 months to 30th September 20x5 to 30th September 20x5. I'm not wrong. Yes. So it's this one is 3 months to 31st December 20x5. 3 months to 31st March 20x6. And this one is 3 months to 30th June 20x6. Okay, so you can use this data. Now, it's not necessary that you use the spreadsheet. Okay. No. So 4343 4690 4343 4690 5065 5471 5065 5471, and the cash sales online 6782 7053 6782 6782 7053 7335 7053 7335 and 7628. 35 and 7628. Now, once you have copy pasted the data here, what the benefit is that you can calculate the percentage change in cash sales of high street shops. Okay. Now you all know that now it's just applying the formula. And percentage change in cash sales online. So is equal to this minus this divided by the old one multiplied by 100. Okay, so I hope that you all know that how you have to apply the formula. Since I'm converting it into percentage, so I will remove this 100. Okay, now you can simply apply it on all the data. So if you can see that on average, we are assuming that cash sales of high street shops will increase by 8% every year, and cash sales of online will increase by 4% every year. So you can say that this data is comparatively questionable, that what are the assumptions behind it. Like, now, review underlying assumptions of management in preparation of forecast with Moritz Company general understanding about business of Levenza Company. Key assumptions used include 8% growth in sales of high street shops and 4% increase in sales of online. Okay, now you can refer calculated in spreadsheet. Okay, now this is the work which examiner likes. Like when he's talking about the AAA student, he wants that the student is specific. He uses the data. Okay, let's see, writing down 7 procedures, it is like a job of 7 minutes. Writing down 7 procedures is like a 7-minute job. 1 minute for one procedure is too much. But what the examiner expects is that when a student is writing down the answer, he uses his evaluation skill. He analyzes the data. See, this is analysis, that I made a calculation. I used a format. Okay, I calculated the data. Now, this is what he expects from a student at AAA level, that he analyzes the data. Now, what normally the student do is that they just write the procedure. That okay, we'll check the underlying assumption. Why not use some data? Okay. Then if you look at the cash flow forecast, receipts from the credit sale. So you can question that here he is saying something about the credit sale. If you read that sales made on credit, 10% pay in the month of sale, 62% after 30 days, 16% after 60 days. Okay. Review debtor analysis to verify management assumption about receipts from debtors, and bad debt. Okay, assumptions of management about recovery period need to be evaluated or need to be verified from debtor aging analysis of previous periods. Okay, you need to verify that whether do the customers pay in this trend or not, that 10% pay in the month of sale. So you look at the debtor aging analysis, that what is the normal debtor aging analysis. Okay, then look at the forecast. There is data about purchase of inventory, 10846, 11388. So you can ask that what is the increase in the purchase of inventory? Like if I just use the spreadsheet again and I calculate the increase in purchase of inventory, just see, this can give me some useful analysis. Purchase of inventory. So if I look at it, it's 10846, 11388. 10846. 10846, 11388. Okay. And then 11730 and 12316. 11730 and 12316. 11730 and 12316. Okay, I'll just copy paste my formula. Okay, percentage change in purchase of inventory. Now you can see that purchase of inventory is only increasing by 5% and 3%, whereas my sales is showing the greater thing. So you can say that until and unless you will purchase the inventory, how are you increasing the sale? Okay, why purchase of inventory is increasing at a lesser ratio? Is there any discounts being given by the supplier? Okay. You can write a procedure here. Purchase quotations and previous period invoices need to be evaluated, okay, to verify that why purchase of inventory is showing a change of 5% only when sales are showing a greater increase. Okay, our sales are showing a greater increase. Okay, it needs to be discussed. It needs to be discussed and evaluated that whether any discount is being offered by supplier or not. Okay, so this is the detailed procedure that we look at the quotations, we look at the purchase period invoices, we'll see that whether any discounts are being given or not. Okay, so this is the complete detailed procedure which you develop. Okay, this is the complete detailed procedure. Then you will look at the cash flow forecast, the salary 7254. Now they are declining 7109, 7180. Then they are increasing back. So what is the movement in salaries? Okay. Review payroll record and HR data to verify the salary expense amount included in forecast and reason of variation in it. Payroll or salaries are showing a decline. Salaries are showing a decline in period ended 31st December 20x5 and 31st March 20x6. If you look at it here, the salaries are declining 7250. Okay, then it is 7109, and then again it increased, but still it is less than the original one. So what I will do is that I will only write here 31st December. Why the salaries are showing decline? When your operations are growing, but salaries are showing a decline, what's the reason behind it? Okay. Then what you can write? You can just write a procedure on opening cash that I will verify it from the cash flow forecast. You can perform the procedure on overhead that you will obtain the breakup of overheads. What is the breakup of overheads? You will compare it with the previous period, that whether it is complete or not. Then he's saying initial cost of new high street shops. So you will ask them for the purchase quotations. There must be some quotations on the improvement work. Okay. So you can write the procedures like this. I would go for a simple one. Review cash book and bank statement to verify opening cash in forecast period of, because the opening cash in the forecast period is the actual cash in the bank of 9193 of 9.193 million. Okay, so see how many procedures were asked here. 7 procedures were asked. We developed the 7 procedures. But what you need to understand here is that please write procedures in detail. Now, let me give you one surprising fact. All the students feel that procedures and evidences are easy. But the surprising fact is that majority of the students lose their marks when they write procedures. Why? Because the procedures written by the student are not in detail. They don't relate to the scenario. They don't relate to the scenario. And here where you lose the marks. The examiner says that your procedure should relate to the scenario. I'm not interested on your rote learning procedures. See, the rote learning procedures will help you if you will use them in a proper manner. You have to use your rote learning procedures in a proper manner to connect them with the scenario. If you read, like see, this first one is a default procedure. Okay, there is no issue in it. This one is also a default procedure. Examiner normally writes it. But then see, when I'm writing specific procedures, I related them to the scenario so that while reading it, the examiner can have an idea that, okay, the scenario is getting related. Then there were many other procedures also, like you can perform the procedure on the overheads. You can obtain the breakup of overheads. You can look at the initial cash outlays. You can obtain the quotation. Then you can look at the marketing campaign. See, the marketing outflow was 624, and then the marketing outflow is declining. Whereas in the supplementary information, he is stating that on the Levenza company is planning an online marketing campaign. So when you are planning an online marketing campaign, why your marketing outflow is declining? And if that marketing outflow is only one time, if that marketing outflow is only one time, then your sales will not be sustained. They will increase in one period and then they will fall. You are reducing the marketing outflow. You are reducing the marketing outflow. From 624, you are reducing it to 431, but you are assuming that your sales will continue to increase. How is it possible? Okay, so the procedures should be specific to the scenario rather than just writing down the general ones. Okay, you can write general ones, but only when it can be related to the scenario. Okay, so if you look at it, the first requirement was explain the matters to be considered before accepting engagement. I think this was an easy one. Okay, these are all the factors, all the headings which you have already studied in your technical discussion. Just you need to connect it to the scenario. And then there were these procedures. Now, the procedures of PFI is, believe me, a very okay, because 3-4 procedures are ones which examiner always write. Like he always think about the overall accuracy. He always think about the accounting policy. He always think about the underlying assumption. He always verify the opening balance. He always look at the systems and control. But please make sure that while developing the answer, don't just stick to general ones. Write 2-3 general ones and then go for specific to the scenario ones. Okay, I hope that you people are getting it. Is it clear? Done? Now the second requirement is relating to Beeford company, which is, okay, let's look at the requirement. Just give me a second. What he's asking in requirement B, comment on the ethical and professional issues arising as a result of Beeford company's planned listing and the services which it has requested from Moritz company, 7 marks. So part B is relating to ethics. Okay. So let's look at it. Again, it's question number 3, but he has asked us to solve it on a separate screen. Question number 3, Moritz company. Okay. So let's develop its answer. Okay. But we haven't read the Beeford company part yet. So let's review it. Information relating to part B, 7 marks part. Okay. So let's look at it. Now in Exhibit 3, used for requirement B, you have also been asked to provide an accountant report for an audit client, Beeford company. Now see, Beeford company is our audit client, okay, which intends to list on the stock market. Okay, so Beeford company is going for stock market listing. It is our audit client and we have been asked to provide an accountant report. Accountant report means we will provide an accounting analysis on the company while it's going for listing. Beeford company has been audit client of Moritz company for the last 8 years. So it's a familiarity, right? Normally we can do audit for 7 years maximum, and 1 year extension can be taken in exceptional scenarios. So 8 years have been completed preparing financial statements to 31st March each year. Throughout this period, the managing partner at your firm, Francis Stein, has taken personal responsibility for the audit and has increased total income from the client to the level where it represented to 16.2% of Moritz Company total fees income in 2005 and 15.4% in 2004. So this means that the revenue from the client is more than 15%. So you all know that it's a self-interest, right? And it's prohibited. It's referred in self-interest and intimidation both. Fees dependency is an issue. That client can intimidate you and you have a self-interest in that client. Okay, for 2 consecutive years, it's more than 15%. It's not permitted. If you are continuing the audit, you should have detailed reviews. In addition to performing the annual audit, Moritz Company also provide accounting and bookkeeping service. Again, it's an issue. The accounting and bookkeeping service include preparation of the monthly payroll for the client and maintaining all of the financial record of a small immaterial division of the company. While we do audit, we cannot offer bookkeeping services, and especially when the client is going for listing, it's prohibited. We should politely decline. However, if there are some small immaterial services, we can continue with that, but normally it's prohibited. The managing director of Beeford Company, Margaret Shelley, has asked your firm for assistance in the preparation of the share prospectus, which will be used to support the company's flotation. So this will create the advocacy issue if we'll help you in preparation of the prospectus. The contents of the prospectus document will include key historical financial information, profit forecast, summary of the key risks relating to the business, and a business plan outlining the future prospect of the company and recommending the shares to the investors. Margaret Shelley has asked Moritz Company that if Moritz Company can also provide an accountant report, which will be included in the prospectus and which will cover each of these elements. So obviously, giving an accountant report and advising the investors will create an advocacy threat. So, if we look at this part and then we look at the requirement, which asks comment on the ethical and professional issues arising as a result of Beefhead Company planned listing and the services which it has requested from Moritz Company, it's a requirement of 7 months. So if we start developing it, what are the ethical and professional issues? Moritz Company. Now, if you look here, Francis Stein, the managing partner at your firm, Francis Stein, has been providing the audit engagement to Beefhead Company for last 8 years. Okay, so managing partner at Moritz Company, Francis Stein, has been providing audit engagement to Beefhead Company for last 8 years. This creates an issue of familiarity threat, as it is long association with an audit client. Okay, as per ethical standards, as per ethical code, audit engagement should be rotated after maximum 7 years. Okay, this tenure can be increased by 1 year in exceptional situation. Okay, in case of Beefhead Company, audit, this entire 8-year period has been exhausted, or I would say has been completed. Okay, so it's a familiarity threat. Maximum it's 7-year association. But if there is any exceptional situation, then you can go for 1-year exception. But here the 8 years tenure has been completed. Okay, Moritz Company should either change the engagement partner at Beefhead Company, audit or ask Bfed companies, those charged with governance, to put audit on rotation. Okay, which means they should engage some other firm. Okay, discussion with those charged with governance should be done. Okay, discussion with those charged with governance should be done, and actions should be taken, such as review by independent partner if Moritz company continue to provide audit services. Now, here is one issue which many students ask me. Now, listen to me. See, in the first point, we said that it is not possible. 7 years have completed, 1 year exception period is also completed. Then if you read my second point, when I'm discussing the action, I said Moritz company should either change the engagement partner or ask BFED company, those charged with governance, to put audit on rotation. See, this was one action, that either we should leave the audit or at least we should change the engagement partner. But then I gave another solution also. Discussion with those charged with governance should be done and actions should be taken, such as review by independent partner if Moritz company continue to provide audit services. Now, if it is being continued, see, there is always an exception. The auditing standard says that if it is impossible to leave the audit and there are such circumstances like the company is failing to appoint auditor or there is any such circumstance, then there is one more exception period of 2 years in which you can continue the service but with reviews, with independent partner reviews. See, what you people need to understand is that whenever you are drafting the answer, you should not make it stuck at one point. Like students simply write politely decline and that's over. No, you should discuss that we should politely decline, and if despite of politely declining, if the client is forcing us to do, then the commercial acumen says that we should consider other options also. The other option can be independent partner review. The other option can be change of partner. What you people need to understand is that what the examiner wants from you, the professional skill is that we talk, we negotiate, okay? We go for win-win situations practically. What you people do in the exam, you get rule-based. See, the code of ethics is not a rule-based phenomena. Code of ethics is a principle-based phenomena. There are guidelines, there are exceptions, there are safeguards, there are actions. And now this is the professional skill which you people need to understand, that while you are drafting the answer, you have to think the other options also. You have to evaluate the scenario also. See, you are writing that 7 years are completed. You are writing that 7 years are completed. 1 year exception period is also completed. You are writing this. But what you need to understand is that then you are saying that we should either change the partner or the audit should be put on rotation. And we should discuss with those charged with governance that if we are continuing, that we have to use the safeguards. So look at the options. Okay, look at the options. It is not like we go practically and we give a resignation letter. We discuss, we look at the options. Okay, now, if you look at the next point, then there is an issue of fees. The fees has increased to 16.2% and 15.4%. Okay, Moritz company is generating more than 15% of its revenue from BFED company for 2 consecutive years. This will create self-interest rate. As it is creating a fees dependency. As per ethical code, more than 15% dependency on any one client is prohibited if 2 consecutive years have passed. Okay? If it is been for 2 consecutive years, it's prohibited. As per ethical code, more than 15% dependency on any one client is prohibited if it happens for 2 consecutive years. Okay, if it happens for 2 consecutive years. Now, what should be what is the solution? What is the solution? Moritz Company should leave some of the engagements of Beeford Company so that revenue dependency gets reduced. Okay. Further, Moritz Company should use independent partner reviews to reduce this ethical threat. Okay, this situation also needs to be discussed with those charged with governance so that a solution can be discussed or the solution can be done for it. This issue can be resolved. Okay. So, see, whenever you are writing the answer for ethics, what you need to understand is that you have to discuss possibilities. Now, one thing which I will highlight here, many students feel that, sir, you are drafting the answer, you are writing the answer along with us. It's boring and it wastes our time. But believe me, this is the technique which will help you in learning the drafting. Until and unless I will develop the answer with you people will never understand how I am writing the point. Reading the examiner answer will never give you the approach of developing the point. When I draft the point with you people, when I write it with you people, this gives you an idea that, okay, this is the method that sir thought, and this was the entire thought process which was used while writing a particular point. Okay, so first was familiarity. First issue was familiarity. Then second one, that the solution is that we should go for rotation. We should discuss with those charged with governance. Then there was fees dependency, and then there was a solution. Okay, we should reduce the revenue dependency. We should go for independent reviews. We should discuss with those charged with governance. Then we are providing accounting and bookkeeping services. So this creates a self-review thread. When we are auditing the FS, how can we provide the accounting and bookkeeping services? Okay. Moritz Company is also providing accounting and bookkeeping services to Beeford Company along with audit engagement. We are providing accounting and bookkeeping services also. This creates a significant self-review thread. As during audit activity, Moritz Company will review financial data prepared by itself. Okay, so it's a significant self-review thread. As per ethical code, providing significant non-audit services to a listed audit client is prohibited. Okay, it's not allowed. Okay, Moritz Company should politely decline for them for significant non-audit services. Okay, Moritz Company can continue to provide non-audit services which are of very insignificant amount, and nature. If it's very insignificant, then you can continue, otherwise it's prohibited. Okay. Now, why did I refer the issue of insignificant? Because here it was written something, and a small immaterial division of the company. So if it's very much insignificant, then continue. Otherwise it's simply prohibited. See, you can read my each of the point. I'm writing it in a commercial sense. We discuss the options. We identify the issue, we comment on that, and then we discuss the options. Okay. Now, how many marks were? 7 marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So it's pretty much easy. It's pretty much simple and straightforward. Just what you need to understand is that you have to discuss the options. You have to evaluate the scenario. Okay. Then let's look further. The managing director of Beefhead Company, Margaret Shelley, has asked your firm for assistance in the preparation of share prospectus document, which will be used to support the company's flotation. So if we will be involved in preparation of the share prospectus, this will create an advocacy threat. And obviously this cannot be done. Okay. If Moritz Company will assist Beefhead Company in preparation of share prospectus document, then it will create an advocacy threat. Okay. In share prospectus document, Moritz Company will be advocating Beefhead Company in front of investors to invest in it. Okay. Obviously, this is prohibited. We can't do this. Okay. As per ethical code, auditor cannot advocate its audit client. Okay. It's prohibited. We should decline it. Okay. So if you look at it, it was a simple 7 marks requirement. Now you can write the actions also, like we'll politely decline. Okay. We can ask the client to use a separate partner. We can use a separate partner for these services. Okay. But since it was a 7 marks requirement, you can see here, and 7 points are done. So we are not required to write further, but you can simply say that it will create advocacy threat. If we will prepare a business plan outlining the prospect of the company, this will create an advocacy. Margaret Shelley has asked if Moritz Company can also provide an accountant report. So obviously it is not permitted for an auditor to provide these services. So we should politely decline, or we should ask them to use a separate partner. So if you look at this entire answer, believe me, in my opinion, this was not a difficult one. Like if you look at Beefhead Company, it was about discussing 7 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I identified the issue. Now in the issue, we evaluated different options, and then we discussed the actions to be taken, that what we should be doing. And I particularly believe that it's not difficult. Now you must be thinking that, sir, when it is so easy, why do students fail in this exam? Students fail in this exam because they don't do practice. It's lack of practice. It's overconfidence. Students think that they can write it. And when they go in the exam, they don't develop their answer professionally. Their answers are not written like a manager. Their answers are not impressive. And this is the point where you lose marks. So what you need to understand is that while you develop the answer, you need to write professionally. You should discuss options and you should evaluate the thing rather than getting stick to one comment. I hope that you people are getting it. So now we are done with the first specimen paper. Okay, we are done with the first specimen paper. Now what I want from you is that you should attempt one more specimen paper on your own. Okay, I'll do one more specimen paper for my students. I will do specimen paper 2 for my students also. And I warn them that then they should do specimen paper 3 on their own and send me for marking. Take my feedback. See, AAA is not just about giving away the lectures. There are many teachers in the market who just give the lectures and they think that their responsibility is over. But it's not about giving the lectures. It is about giving a complete journey, a complete support. It's about giving a complete journey and a complete support. For that, you just don't give lectures, you give support to students in writing, in drafting approach. Okay, I have developed a complete answer with you people. Now, what I want from you people is that you have to do a complete professional skill paper. There are 3 specific. This was the first paper. You should solve complete one paper and send me for marking. Take my feedback, and then only you will be able to improve. Okay, I hope that you people have understood and you people will improve in your writing skills. Okay, thank you everyone. If you have any query, you people can ask me on my WhatsApp. Thank you.